down right there, but it was across the line. It is going to be some show when they end up back down.
Look at Sirianni.
Unlike the game that the NFL is forcing us to watch on Monday night, there is a lot of significance to this NFC East matchup between the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. It answers a lot of questions in regards to where both of the teams currently stand. We're gonna get to every single part of this analysis in just a moment. Before we get to the content, just a reminder, we're doing cash giveaways at the end of each and every week, $100 to a subscriber that turns on our notifications on this channel. We upload shorter versions of this content on my TikTok and Instagram account. Now that we got all that out of the way, break! Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Just a little disclaimer for those of you guys that are being introduced to me for the first time. I am unfortunately a Cowboy fan, and although I usually do a good job making sure that my bias doesn't creep into my videos, I just felt like I'd give you guys that warning just in case. This was a very important season for the Philadelphia Eagles. They needed to answer one important question: is Jalen Hurts truly the man under center? And to be honest, the way they tested this theory was in a very phenomenal way. I have to give it to Howie Roseman, man. A couple years ago, Eagles fans wanted this guy completely away from the front office after what happened between Doug Peterson and Carson Wentz and how he traded Carson Wentz and he chose Jalen Hurts over Carson Wentz. At the time, people wanted him gone. And then you combine that with the fact that he completely missed on wide receivers in the draft, from drafting JJ Arcega-Whiteside over DK Metcalf or Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson. Things finally started to look good for the Eagles over the past couple of off seasons. And this past offseason was their most aggressive one yet, trading for AJ Brown and then making a series of very intelligent decisions to bolster that defensive front, and you probably didn't even notice. I mean, from the drafting of Jordan Davis, the acquisition of James Bradbury, and right before the season started, they were able to trade for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson in a move that, one, was a steal, and two, I felt like was a bit of a step backwards for the New Orleans Saints, with all due respect. And to be honest, so far, the Eagles have gotten out to a remarkable start. And I was very curious to see how far the Eagles could actually go and when their true first test would be. And when you look at the Philadelphia Eagles schedule with respect to the Eagles, because some of the teams that they did beat have some potential, they have one of the easiest schedules that I think I've ever seen any NFL team have. I mean, apart from the NFC East being competitive and we're still trying to figure out who the pretenders and the contenders are, look at the Philadelphia Eagles schedule from here on out. I mean, apart from the Green Bay Packers, who, with all due respect to them, haven't looked like the Green Bay Packers of old because of the loss of Devontae Adams, you don't necessarily see a team that is one of those top tier teams in the NFL that has to face off against the Philadelphia Eagles, which means if they continue at this rate, the Philadelphia Eagles could easily, coast to a 15 or 14 win season, which is why tonight's game is so important to them, because if they are able to beat their division rival and one of the top defenses in the entire NFL in the Dallas Cowboys, it means that they were able to officially beat their most challenging team to date. I mean, unless if you think the Minnesota Vikings, Washington Commanders, Jacksonville Jaguars, or Arizona Cardinals are a better team than the Dallas Cowboys, then I guess they already did that. As for the Dallas Cowboys, the Philadelphia Eagles are in their division, they are undefeated, and they have been dominant on both sides of the ball. Jalen Hurts looks like an early MVP candidate, and although you have a ferocious defense featuring one of the best defensive players that we've drafted in recent memory in Micah Parsons, alongside defensive standouts like DeMarcus Lawrence and Trevon Diggs and Malik Hooker, is this team for real? Is it a team that Cowboys fans could sincerely look at and say, hey, this year might be our year? Well, this game will explain all of that to us. Coming into this game, there was a very fascinating narrative surrounding Cooper Rush. There were some Cowboys fans that thought that he should be the full-time starting QB. I was never one of those individuals because I knew what Cooper Rush was good at from the very beginning, and I knew based upon the situations he was placed in, he would be successful if one thing didn't happen, and that's if the opposing team didn't get off to a very, very hot start. And the Dallas Cowboys Cowboys defense were able to contain that opposing team. Now, I'm not placing the blame on the Cowboys defense, but in a game where you're going up against the Philadelphia Eagles, who have a remarkable defense and a really solid offense, and the Cowboys defense is able to get some stops, but the Cowboys offense isn't really able to get much going, that's when Cooper Rush's weaknesses become more apparent. Now, you couple that with some questionable game planning and some questionable decisions by the Dallas Cowboys, and it's a recipe for absolute disaster. So I think you guys know the very first play that drove me crazy at the very least. It's the beginning of the second quarter, 3rd and 9. The Dallas Cowboys are down by 2 touchdowns at this point. They may be feeling the game slipping away a little bit. Well, luckily for the Cowboys, Cooper Rush was able to connect with CeeDee Lamb, and CeeDee Lamb heroically stretched out his arm to ensure that he got the first down. But the ball was spotted a little short, and it was ruled as 4th and inches. Instead of challenging this play, the Cowboys made a series of decisions that I'm pretty sure my 5-year-old cousin wouldn't even make on Madden. They decided to hurry up and not even go for a quick QB sneak. They decided to hurry up and throw the ball on a bootleg, which when you couple that with the fact that they were way deep in their own territory, it was on their own 35-yard line, then you have one of my biggest issues with the Dallas Cowboys. And I'll say this over and over again, I don't have faith in their coaching staff. I don't have faith in Mike McCarthy. I'll say it in every single video. I do think Dan Quinn is coaching the hell out of the defense. I think here and there, Kellen Moore could draw up some cute plays that will result in the Cowboys offense succeeding. I have no faith in Mike McCarthy's ability to properly adjust to specific scenarios. And this was one of the biggest indications. I mean, even if it wasn't ruled a first down, you need a punt in that scenario. No one would think you're a hero or a genius, even if you were able to convert over there on 4th and inches, way deep into your own territory. There's no excuse for that. I felt like that was just a knee-jerk reaction to them panicking because, again, the Dallas Cowboys defense is pretty freaking dominant. They were so good that they were able to hold the Philadelphia Eagles to just a field goal there, which is a miracle because this game could have gotten even worse, way more out of hand at that point. But then we saw the issues with Cooper Rush. And again, no disrespect to Cooper Rush. Love what he's done for the Cowboys. The fact that the Cowboys still have a light at the end of the tunnel during the season, despite Dak Prescott getting injured for the first month of the season, is a miracle and wouldn't have happened without Cooper Rush. The problem is, whenever Cooper Rush is playing with a lead, there's significantly less pressure on him. He could depend on Ezekiel Elliott, he could depend on Tony Pollard, he could do those cute little jet sweeps to CeeDee Lamb that Kellen Moore loves, and he doesn't need to throw the ball nearly as much. But whenever he's in a situation where he's down by 2 scores or 3 scores, at that point, Cowboys don't necessarily have the luxury of running the ball as much. And in that case, Cooper Rush has to throw the ball a little bit more. It's typically a recipe for disaster. The first interception that Cooper Rush threw, I can't necessarily blame him. I think that was just an example of how savvy that Eagles defense truly is. I mean, between James Bradbury and Darius Slay. The second interception was more indicative of just the situation that Cooper Rush was in. I mean, he's down by 17 points. The Cowboys offense isn't going at all whatsoever, and he's starting to force the ball into situations that he shouldn't because there's significantly more pressure on him. The Eagles played this masterfully. Now, if Dak Prescott was in, would the results have varied very much? I don't know because he wasn't in. I honestly don't know based off of the small sample size I've seen from Dak. I mean, I have significantly more faith in Dak Prescott pulling us out of deficits more than I do in Cooper Rush, but I think this puts the Cooper Rush versus Dak Prescott debate to bed a little bit. And I honestly am just appreciative for what Cooper Rush did. I mean, starting the season the way the Dallas Cowboys were able to do with a winning record, they're still in the thick of the NFC East race. I mean, at the very minimum, even if the Eagles win out the NFC East, which I do think they will win the NFC East, I think the Cowboys are in prime position to be in the wild card hunt. But also, the one thing that the Eagles had over the Cowboys in this game was their coaching was just remarkable. The way they game planned for Micah Parsons, leaving him unblocked in various moments, was a stroke of genius that I don't think I've seen any other team even attempt. By the time the Dallas Cowboys started getting back to what they do the best, which was running the ball effectively, which set up play action for Cooper Rush, and scoring the football as a result of it, it was a little too late. The Philadelphia Eagles were able to drive down the field in a remarkable clock-churning drive to make the game a 2-score game in the middle of the fourth quarter. And I'm not really faulting the Dallas Cowboys defense for this one, man, because I think they played remarkably, and considering the fact that Cooper Rush threw 3 interceptions tonight, the fact that we were even close to staying in that game, to me, is remarkable. The Philadelphia Eagles are clearly the real deal, both offensively and defensively. And I'm telling you, I would not be shocked if this was a team that won 14 to 15 games this year. A lot of people are talking down to Cooper Rush, but Cooper Rush was always who I thought he was. He is a really freaking good backup that I think Cowboys fans need to appreciate. I mean, think back to the 2020 season, man, when Dak Prescott went down for the entire season. Our season was over. I mean, it was done. There was no hope for us at all whatsoever. Those games with Andy Dalton under center, and later on, I think Will Greer was our third string at that point, were so painful. At least we got Micah Parsons as a consolation prize for it, but it was still a very painful season. So to have a backup QB being able to step in, lead us to 4 victories and only 2 losses, and keep us in the hunt in the competitive NFC East is something that we should appreciate. Yeah, Cooper Rush isn't the next coming of Tom Brady, but that's not really news to me, and I'm sure it's not news to you. Dak Prescott should return next week in a game versus the 1-win Detroit Lions, and hopefully we could get back to doing what we do best and try to bounce back for the rest of the season. For the Philadelphia Eagles, man, enjoy your season. It seems like you guys absolutely crushed it in the offseason in terms of team building. It seems like Nick Sirianni is truly the head coach for you guys that embodies the personality of Philadelphia. It seems like Jalen Hurts is clearly the answer at the quarterback position, and it seems like this season could potentially be a special season for Philadelphia Eagles fans. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think about all this? If you're a Cowboys fan, are you feeling a little bit more optimistic despite this loss? If you're an Eagles fan, do you think this year is your year? I'd like to hear what you have to say. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.